Hey everyone, welcome back to the Break Vape podcast, episode 40. I am your host, Tami Ernst. I am back in the Northwest today and am recording this episode for you from the Coeur d'Alene area in Idaho, where I've been traveling back and forth over the summer. And I cannot believe it is already August. We are well into the last month of summer, my friends, and we are seeing a very unwelcome visitor trending back into the news and into our daily lives. I am talking about COVID, and today's episode is an important PSA. You can't see me, but I'm doing air quotes here. PSA is a public service announcement. That's right, guys. Reports are showing not necessarily a surge, but what's actually considered an uptick or a bump in the cases of COVID since the beginning of like June, July, beginning of the summer, up until now. And this is going on for a few reasons. Number one, it has been so unbearably hot with dangerous and extreme heat waves sweeping the nation. So people have been congregating indoors together where there's air conditioning. Another reason is that people are traveling a lot together. Now they're in airplanes and airports and all the common places where people would be for summer travel. And then another reason is just the decreased immunity people are seeing from having enough time passed from where they were either sick or have been vaxxed so that they are now susceptible to getting infected. This information is all from a variety of news sources that I've been keeping up with over the summer. So here's what you need to know. Vaping can correlate with severe COVID, long COVID, easier transmission, heightened lung damage, and I personally think, as always, that it causes damage to mental health as well. Sharing your vapes with people and being in an area where you are inhaling other people's vapor will put you at risk for transmitting COVID. But even if you keep your vapes to yourself, there really isn't such a thing as vaping responsibly because of the severe damage vaping does to your own body. The strain of COVID that is going around right now seems to be giving people a bad cough as the most common symptom. So please do not give COVID the chance to couple this with vaping lung damage. You're at a greater risk for long-term lung damage, and it's harder to get better and heal from COVID when you're constantly abusing your lungs by vaping. COVID is so hard on your body by itself. So please create your quit plan and do not make COVID worse by vaping. I want to read you guys something really quick. This is from thetruthinitiative.org. It says a 2020 study surveying adolescents and young adults, 13 to 24 years old, found that in comparison to non-users testing positive for COVID, it was 5 times more likely for people who had ever used e-cigarettes only, 7 times more likely for people who had ever used both e-cigarettes and combustible cigarettes, and 6.8 times more likely for people who had used e-cigarettes and combustibles in the past 30 days. So these people who had been vaping and smoking were correlating more positively to testing positive for COVID. And it also goes on to say potential reasons cited for why e-cigarette and cigarette use were associated with testing positive for COVID-19 include heightened exposure to nicotine and other chemicals in e-cigarettes adversely affecting lung function, repeated touching of one's hand to mouth and face during e-cigarette use, and sharing e-cigarette devices. So you're at greater risk for long-term lung damage, and it's harder to get better and heal from COVID. Like we were just saying, when you're constantly abusing your lungs. So I'm sorry, but not sorry to have to be the grim reality check person here. But here is your reality check. COVID can kill you. Vaping can kill you. What do you think the two of them combined are going to do to you long term? Make you healthier? Not a chance. Now, in reality, you'll probably survive your next bout of COVID. And I really hope that you don't get COVID. And if you do, I hope that you recovered smoothly and it goes okay. But in reality, if you do get it, what long-term damage are you doing to your body that you don't even know about yet? Think about it. Because the data that I just cited is from 2020. We just do not have updated data yet in 2023 that has much of a correlation between vaping and COVID. We only have a few years worth of research pertaining to COVID because of how new of a disease it is in and of itself. And we have very little research specifically on vaping compared to smoking cigarettes because of how relatively new it is on the scene, maybe 10 years or so. So, those two combined, we have extremely small amounts of data. And what we do have so far, it's not good. Please do not make yourself the guinea pig for the statistics that are going to roll out years from now about how negatively correlated vaping and COVID are together. You guys, the data may not be here yet, but the logic is. Just do a little exercise with me, like we love to do on this podcast, okay? Just use your beautiful human brain for a moment to imagine yourself as a scientist who has great common sense and forethought, and imagine yourself writing a report 10 years from now about how the relationship between COVID and vaping has correlated over the past decade. How many of these people would have been put on ventilators? How many of these people endured permanent lung damage? How many of these people even passed away because of the correlation between COVID and vaping? Let's get really creative and think about what that data will say 10 years from now. Use your own thoughts. Seriously, what will it say? And then decide right now that you will not be a statistic of that data, okay? You're going to fall into a different category. You are going to fall into the non-smoker, non-vaping control group. Life is not perfect there, but I promise you it is significantly better without being addicted to vaping. Now you may be thinking to yourself that quitting is hard. Believe me, I get it. I have been there. But you are completely capable of quitting. And as always, I am here to help you. Just go to www.breakvapes.com. That's www.breakvapes.com to sign up for a free clarity session. Again, there is a current bump in COVID going on around the summer. And I just wanted to bring it to the forefront of your attention in case you haven't seen it on the news. And I'm going to get a tiny bit personal here. Okay, guys? If you're a vapor, please be mindful of the people around you by keeping your secondhand smoke to yourself. I hope that you guys are staying safe and healthy. Like many of us, I have had friends, I have had family, I have had loved ones who have passed away from COVID. Some smoked and vaped and some did not, and I miss them terribly. And I had a really rough time with COVID, and I'm sure that you did too. So let's try to do what we can for ourselves and our family when it comes to what you have in your own control, which is quitting vaping. I feel for you, my friends. Please do yourself the biggest favor and decide to quit vaping right now. I have a proven plan to show you how to quit, and I always have your back. Head over to www.breakvapes.com to see how, and I will chat with you guys next week. That's all I have for now. Just wanted to bring COVID to the forefront of your thoughts. Sorry, not sorry. Love you guys, mean it, and I will see you next week. That's all for now. Bye.